It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Benny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Pertinent information from the
Yeah, baby.
Cats Talk Wednesday back in here for another Wednesday. Man, we had TV, man. You meeting Groovy Bruce and you've been doing rubbing shows with celebrities. Out last week with just sick. So how you doing, man? Glad you're back.
Back from the upper respiratory ailments, like I was telling you before we started. Not a whole lot they can do. So here's some Mucinex. Here's some spray for your nose.
That'll be $400.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the bill to be like, you know, it's like when you go to the car, like you got to get your car fixed. You got to give me something for this money.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give you something with a comma in it, you got to give me more. Yeah. Have you tried Mucinex? Like, yeah, like I don't even need a prescription for that. I could have diagnosed myself. But anyway, doing much better. It was rough going for a little bit, but yeah, man, just a lot going on.
Yeah, glad y'all getting that mess behind you. You know, sucking your lungs dry and making you hard to breathe and all that. Glad you. The worst of that is behind y'all for sure. And you heading home this weekend, right?
Yeah, man, for a long weekend. I'll be on the road tomorrow morning, going back to my old Kentucky home. I've got an 8th grade graduation to go to, Little Miss.
Ooh.
I'm going to have 2 high schoolers next year, and I am not ready for that.
Yeah.
You know, this is my favorite part of the year, right? When you look at Facebook, this is my favorite part of the year because parents forget how time works. Every post is, here's a picture of my kid some years ago. Here's a picture of him now. What happened? It's like time happened, right? Like we know how time works. But as a parent myself, I'm looking at some of these old pictures. I know you do the same. It's like, how is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Got a little bit more gray up here myself and things like that. So, yeah, we've got 8th grade graduation, and then, hey, I'm hitting everybody's cookouts, man.
Yeah.
I said, drop the location. I'm rolling through.
That's it. Sometimes
be about rolling through. I ain't bringing nothing. I'm coming with a plate and some aluminum foil. I won't hear it. I won't hear nothing.
Sometimes you come home and lay low. This time you coming home and you getting around. You hitting.
Yeah, because the last few times, I popped in for Mother's Day, and that was Friday night to Sunday evening, so kept it real low. All I did was, me and Little Miss went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because, Marvel is our thing. And she, but yeah, I'm coming out, man. I'm seeing people. We rolling through. What you got on the grill? Give me a little piece. Then I got to bounce. I got things to do. I'm trying to be a mover and shaker.
Now, when it comes to indies, you just get the rib tips, right?
I get the rib tips at indies. And we did that last week or 2 weeks ago. I did get the indies. Little Miss gets her a 2-piece snack box with mac and cheese, chicken snack box. Yeah, that's been our go-to, man. Now all the indie stuff is good, but hey, I gotta get some rib tips, man.
So when you're going through the cookouts here and there, this person, that person, you just gonna stick with ribs? You get a chicken leg, you get a burger, you get a.
It depends on where I'm going, because look. Like I told some of my cousins, I know what y'all good at, what you're not good at. Okay. So at this one, I'm gonna get this. At this one, I'm gonna get this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll through. I'm past the point of being where I'm gonna try to save people's feelings and all this kind of stuff. Like pork ain't your thing, right? I'm here for these burgers, these hot dogs, but I know, the stuff that takes time, that's not your calling, right?
And
so
your sauce ain't good, so I'm not gonna get none of your sauce.
Yeah. So if I show it with my own, don't be upset. I'm just in and out these days, you know.
There's strengths and weaknesses to this kind of stuff.
Right. You know, it's not the big family reunion where you got to kind of dissect everything. I'm gonna roll through. I'm gonna say hi. I'm gonna see some folks, get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I gotta go. I got other people to see, man. I'm moving and shaking.
You big sweet tooth, big dessert guy, big dessert.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not a big cakes and pies, which is crazy because Mama B
Lord.
loves to bake.
Oh.
But no, I not a big sweet tooth, man. But you got some cookies and some simple cakes. I don't need all that.
You ain't
I don't need all that.
the gaudy German
Yeah.
chocolate. You ain't with the big carrot cake with the thick cream
No,
frosting.
no.
All right, okay.
I ain't with all that.
All
But
right.
good for those people that are.
I'll eat enough for you this weekend.
There we
When I
go.
go.
There we go. But I'm excited, man. We're gonna drive through, taking famous Sammy the dog. He's a good rider. Watch me curse myself this time. But usually he just chills and likes to just stare out the window. So let's do that again, Sammy. Let's not be crazy this time.
That'll work. Coming to y'all courtesy of the BS3 Network, as always. And we're on Spotify and YouTube and Roku and Spotify for podcasters and a host of other platforms. So check us out. Check out this episode. We had a fun episode last week. Hated you wasn't there. We had some Denver Nuggets flavor in here with Jeremy Nichols and
Hey,
Jay
look,
Verily. It came to pass.
I tip my hat to the Nuggets, man. The Nuggets, a little bit is brand recognition or lack thereof. It does feel odd to say the Denver Nuggets are the best team. It's weird, right? Like Denver was always that team you had to play in the playoffs to get to the next round.
Yep.
And so I understand people get sensitive because the conversation since the Western Conference Finals has been about the Lakers.
Yeah,
I get that, right? Like, while we were talking about LA moved, like, it's gonna happen, right? If the Twins beat the Yankees in the NLC or ALCS, there's gonna be talk about the Yankees. Like, that's just how it works. But hey, Joker's for real. Like, I know we talked about the MVP voting and how he's on that list of being, he's not on that list anymore of being the only two-time winner to not make the finals. That's just Steve Nash now.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like voters were thinking like I was that I don't know, 3-time MVP, every other 3-time MVP has not only won, but been finals MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And right or wrong, that's just kind of how these things work. Now we're going to look back and say, how did Joker not win this one?
Right.
But that's par for the course too.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at a lot of all-time greats and think, what? Like Shaq just haven't won.
Yeah.
That one, and I know you can go year by year. I've seen people, this year. Then it's like, okay, the person that won probably had a better season than Shaq. But it still feels weird to say Shaq, the most dominant force we've probably seen in our lifetime, he just got the one.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things. Should Kareem have more than his 6? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Should Jordan have more than his 5? Yeah.
Yep.
Should Hakeem have at least one more? Yeah. And that's what I miss about when they used to present the MVP during the playoffs. Because 2 things happen. You're at home and either the winner goes out and shows you why he won, right? You get that performance. Or you get the guy that probably should have won that takes it personally. Like that story I tagged you in today about Hakeem and that game 2 in 95 in the Western Conference Finals against David Robinson. David Robinson got it, right? Probably deservedly so. I mean, you can quibble a little bit, but Kenny Smith said before the game, Hakeem, no problem. and went out and gave him 45 and 15. And that was the Dream Shake game.
Oh.
And then that's when he said, I'm going to go to Dave Robbins' house and visit my award. I mean, look, I don't just say that because you're a Rockets fan. I honestly believe Hakeem is probably one of those dudes we don't talk about enough. When we talk about big men being more than just, I'm going to put you on my back and get a bucket, like can do different things. Like Hakeem was that bridge dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you and I were coming up, hey, you 7 foot, back to the basket, a little bit. But Hakeem had footwork 20 feet from the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that a lot of the highlights we get, the Dream Shake, which is what it is, but Hakeem was doing work out, jump shots, and getting to the hoop. He was that bridge, and I think Hakeem walked so Joker and those guys can do what they do. But Djokovic and Murray, hey, I tip my hat to the Nuggets.
Yeah.
They got a great squad. Joker is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it doesn't look pretty. It is the opposite of the Dream Shake. It shouldn't work. His release angles on shots are just, I mean, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but the dude is phenomenal. I tip my hat. Again, I think people get a little crazy when it comes to the Lakers. Lakers fans, this, that. Look, man, y'all need to stop talking to the 20-something Lakers fans. Stop letting them be the voice. Most Lakers fans going in to the playoffs, what I said right here, what I say, let them get in.
Yeah.
I said they got Memphis in the first round. Get a game in Memphis and see what happens. All right. Move to the Warriors. Get a game. See what happens. And honestly, game 1 was the game this series. AD goes for 40 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, hey, if they can steal one, see what happens. But they just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
And that's because LeBron is 50, and what hurt LA is there's just no wing that can get to the basket.
True. Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo can't shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he got to go. He my homeboy. He from Louisville.
Yeah.
Got to go. Rui Hachimura, great addition.
If I'm a Wizards fan, I'm nauseous watching what he did for the Lakers. I'm just
Austin Reeves, pay that man his money, right? But you got to get a guard, right? You've got to get somebody that can get to the point that's not LeBron, or get to the paint that's not LeBron. That was the glaring issue.
Kyrie Irving was in the building.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give up too much to get Kyrie, and I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, I just think that was the ceiling for this team, and I know this is loser talk, but starting out 2-10,
yeah,
being the 13th team and the 14th team conference.
You was down there with the Rockets. Y'all was hanging out with us.
Right. It was one of those games. I was like, man, if we lose to the Rockets, we're going to be at the bottom. Yes. Right. Yep. And so, I'm still encouraged. It's okay this was one of those seasons. It felt like house money.
Yeah. You said that several times here too.
It felt like house money. I likened it to the 2014 Cats, where it was like, okay, you made it to the postseason. Just get one win and see what happens, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have this run. It's like, this is pretty good. When usually, as I was explaining to the wife, the Lakers either go in as one of the 2 or 3 favorites, or they get talked about with all the sideshow stuff, and they're not very good. Like, that's your extremes, right?
Yeah.
So this was one of those. And I think I said it on here, like, okay, they made these trades. Nothing crazy, like Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then AD decided to go on that stretch of 30, 15 games, and okay. All right, and then it was, they've reached that play in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. And then getting up to that 7. All right. Yeah, it took overtime to beat Minnesota. But like I said, all you gotta do is get in. And it was great that Jack showed back up for the first time in a couple of seasons to
Yeah.
have Jack Nicholson on the sideline. Um, and it was great because for me and for most Lakers fans, remember the 2020 team that was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like we try to asterisk that bubble, but they were by far the best team when everything stopped, right? Uh, this was the first home playoff games in a long time with them being good.
Yeah.
Because the next year, uh, when they lost to Phoenix again, AD gets hurt, LeBron's banged up. They were up 2-1 on Phoenix. But anyway,
That's right.
This was, and I know everybody waxes poetic about Madison Square Garden, and when the Knicks are good, they're good. Hey, when LA is rolling, baby, is it the Forum, Staples, and Crypto? There's a vibe there too, man. There's an absolute vibe there too, which is why LA needs stars. So anyway, I'm okay with this season. It is what it is. You make some moves, try to get some fresh legs. Got to get somebody, got to get outside shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get somebody to get into the paint. And, I think we're being unfair when we talk about Anthony Davis. I think there's a lot of what we collectively want to see him do and what he's actually doing. He was by far the best defensive player in the playoffs. By far, led the league in rebounds and block shots in the playoffs. Everyone was scheming to get that dude away from the basket.
Yeah.
And even when that happened, he locked up Steph like 3 times in games 3 or 4. I can't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Would I love to see him be that dude, go on the post and give me the 30-15 every night? Yeah, I would. But that ain't him.
Yeah.
And so once you figure out what the player is, you get a piece that helps. Right? When you look at when AD was offensively at his best, it's when Russell was hitting from the perimeter, Rui was hitting, and Reeves was hitting from the perimeter. That's what opens things up. But defensively, he's a monster.
Yeah. That
So
block on Gordon. I mean, and this is should have been a dunk contest winner. I think he got robbed 2 or 3
he got
times.
robbed. Yeah.
And I mean, this ain't no 6'1" guy that can't jump. This
Right.
ain't Kyle Lowry coming in below the rim. This is Aaron Gordon. And
yeah,
AD erased that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was.
So the Lakers will be fine. I understand people love to pile on the Lakers. I get it. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not shying away from it, running from it. But as I've told you,
they polarizing. They always will be.
I can remember 8 championships,
mm-hmm.
and not even Yankees fans can say that. I mean, you got to be an older Yankees fan, but I'm talking about people our age. Ain't nobody had 8.
Yeah.
In 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be fine. But Denver, hey, they got some dudes. Michael Porter Jr. seems to have figured it out.
He's the 4th option. That's when you know that's a squad.
And yeah, I mean it is. Djokovic is that dude. But then,
like you said, it doesn't look pretty. There's no explosion. There's no athleticism. There's no speed. There's no quickness. There's no agility. None of what you expect an NBA player to have, but yet it works. It's and you said Elijah Wan walked so he could run to the point that you the point guard. You bring the ball up, running the offense, setting things up for Murray, pick and pop with Murray. You initiating the offense on a nightly basis.
And when you got a situation where it's Djokovic initiating the pick and roll with Murray.
Yeah.
And, forcing the Lakers to defend it with AD and Bron, that's a tough ask.
It is.
Obviously the Bron not what he was, but still, that's a tough ask for anybody. So whoever comes out of the East, and it's looking like it's the Heat, hey, Denver's going to be tough. Denver is going to be tough. And so the crazy thing is that this is going to be the 5th straight year with the 5th different team winning an NBA title. That's never happened before. We're finally wide open. It's finally wide open.
Yeah. What's that? Milwaukee, Golden State, Lakers,
Toronto.
Oh yeah, your Raptors squad that you love so much.
I follow some Raptors people, and I'm like, come on, man, ain't nobody thinking about y'all. Like,
we the North, though.
Maybe it's the Lakers snob in me, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, this isn't even the Pistons winning in 2004.
Right.
That team doesn't look like, anyway. It was a rental, whatever.
Yeah.
But wide open, man. Absolutely wide open to have that, and good for everybody, man. The NBA has been wanting this, but it has not been it's been a dynasty league.
Now, how were you at a seasoned, long-time veteran Lakers fan that you are when, after game 1, the narrative, they found something, to, where you make a furious rally, because it was a 20-point game. They closed to 3 or 4, come up short, but everybody wanted to say, seemingly, the Lakers have found something for game 2. Were you optimistic about that, or were you just kind of, a lot of people drink that Kool-Aid?
Because, but it's hard to, I think, when the Lakers were making that comeback and Denver stopped playing, I think that's part of that being a young team. I didn't put too much stock into it. You didn't see me, tweeting out about that.
Yeah.
Because you can make a move, but with Djokovic, it's like chess. He got 4 or 5 counter moves, right? It's like, basically Golden State had figured something out offensively with Anthony Davis. No, he was a problem the whole damn series.
Yep.
Like, when someone is that good, you give up a little bit, but you can only do so much. So I didn't buy into that. And I'm a big Lakers homer myself. They just didn't have anybody that could close. LeBron's gassed, and it's really hard for any big man to be the closer because of, one, you're dependent on someone to get you the ball in the post. 2, in the playoffs, man, woo. What was a foul in February ain't a foul now.
Oh yeah.
And so you have to have a guard that can help you close. Or a wing player that can help you close, like
Jamal
Mario
Murray.
Ellie, huh?
Like Jamal Murray.
Yeah, or going back, Mario Ellie,
yeah,
right? Kenny Smith with that crazy game 5 in the 95 or game 1 in 95 finals. You get you a Clyde Drexler, you got Mad Max, right? So it is just rare to see a big player that can close a game like that from the post. That's how the Lakers won the 80s. Magic come along and say, I got this.
Yeah.
That's how Shaq and Kobe won. Right. Yeah. Everybody, Shaq. Yeah, it's great to have Shaq on your team. But if you watch those games like I did, the ball was in Kobe's hands a lot. 1, Shaq couldn't hit free throws. And 2, to get a foul call was going to be damn near impossible for Shaq anyway.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, they letting everything happen. So, I didn't think they figured anything out. But Miami's looking good. Jimmy Butler, I think the last 4 or 5 years, he's gone from that guy to that guy.
Mm-hmm. No matter what team he's on. No matter, I mean, I don't know if you saw I think you saw it, the podcast where I know Bo might have tweeted out with Jeff Teague talking about the practice of Minnesota, where I mean, he's been that guy everywhere he's been. In Chicago, we just thought he's all right, but he's consistent. At Philadelphia, he was that guy, and he let them know y'all chose Tobias Harris over me, and and now Miami, he can. If he gets on people's nerves, it don't matter. That's this whole heat culture thing, whatever it is, it works.
In the heat culture, at some point, I'd rather us do it now than wait. We got to give Pat Riley his props.
Mm-hmm.
From Rupp's runts to if the Heat make it, and I think they will.
They should, Lord.
Yeah. Pat Riley is player, coach, executive will have been involved in 25% of all the NBA finals.
That is crazy.
I mean, so that's insane. And I don't know if some of the younger fans know Pat Riley is a bona fide UK legend. I mean, he was an All-American player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, national runner-up and all that kind of stuff, 66 Texas Western.
Yep.
But whatever Miami's got going on, Spo, give him his credit, man. Because a lot of people try to dismiss him.
Video guy.
And video guy. And, you can win with Wade and Bosh and LeBron. But it was always, to me, it was the way he got a lot out of the other dudes. Mario Chalmers, right?
Uh-huh.
Shane Battier. It was how he got out of those guys that, Chalmers out of the league, right? Norris Cole out of the league,
Norris Cole.
Yeah, that's going way back. So for me, hey, give Spo his credit. And so Heat Denver or Miami Denver Heat Nuggets. Probably look, it is okay to say that if Adam Silver had his druthers, Lakers Celtics, that's fine. It's okay to say that.
Yeah.
But because with that, you get a lot of casual fans. You might not get as many casual fans for Denver and Miami, but hey, the NBA got to push, man. You gotta push these dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the downside to me of the league shifting to one guy and then everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the NBA was fantastic, it was Bird Magic, but they pushed Dr. J. You push the Pistons, even if you want to see them lose, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're stuck in this. Well, we only have one guy. No, we got great players.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
Hey, are you excited about James Harden coming home?
And I think who was the guy for the Athletic? Kelly Iko. I follow him. Saw that article a couple of months ago. The emoji was just a straight face. It's just a straight line. No, that's just and just seemingly gonna happen. I mean, you got a young nucleus already there. Jalen Green and all these young guys, and got the 4th pick in the draft. Even though you had highest probability, you had a 14% chance, whatever. Top 4 pick, and now we bring. It's kind of like when the Cowboys brought Jason Witten back, and you already had these young tight ends already doing some stuff after he left. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, but like we talk about with Kentucky all the time, me worrying about it and getting
Yeah, it's
upset
gonna
about it ain't gonna do nothing. It's not
look.
gonna stop. Was it Raphael Stone and Tillman Fertitta from doing whatever they gonna do? But I can't say I'm just over the moon about it because I've seen it before, and we had a lot less tread on the tire when I saw it before.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
I mean, Philadelphia. I don't know, man. I just don't know about the Sixers. I don't.
they should have knocked Boston out. You've seen
Yeah,
how Boston's stumbling around here with Miami, and you
yeah,
tell me Miami beating them like Philly should have.
yeah. And
Pitiful.
I know it's a regular season award, but this is going to be a head scratcher
Yeah.
because you got uh, Joker giving AD the business, who again had one of the best defensive postseasons of anybody this year, right? And Joker's giving him the business, and you letting Al Horford shut you down. Come on, man. If you're gonna get shut down, don't come on now. Al Horford,
No, no
he played
way.
on the '07 Gators. What are we doing here, man? Come on.
Did you
Like,
see? Did you see that thing on Facebook where it said, "How can any Kentucky fan be rooting for the Celtics?" Because Jalen Brown picked California over Kentucky, Horford for Florida,
yeah.
Grant Williams flopping.
Mhm,
Missoula was on the West Virginia team that
yeah.
knocked us out in 2010. I
Mhm.
mean, all this,
I'm
you
not
know.
rooting for the Celtics on general principle. I don't care who they got. I didn't root for the Celtics when they had Mercer and McCarty and
Yeah,
Antoine Walker.
yeah.
I look, hey, I know you've seen I got a lot of jerseys, right?
Yes, you do. You
But I ain't got no Boston one.
do.
Because way back when, you're gonna get a D Brown, he won the dunk contest. Nope.
Cousin D can't even get in.
Well, look at Jalen Brown. Nope. I don't care. No, no. The thing about this Boston team is they've been together a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is like 5, 6, 7 years for Tatum and Brown and
Smart.
and Smart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they've played a lot of game sevens, but they still do dumb stuff at the end of games. Like they
Yes.
still, most of the time, when you get a nucleus like that with these deep playoff runs, they don't beat themselves.
Right.
But Boston gets to these stretches, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like that boggles my mind because if you look at like the 80s and 90s, those teams that were together for a long time, they were still tough outs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Hawks with Dominique and Doc Rivers and Tree Rollins, John Concac,
Yeah.
they were tough outs. But you can watch Boston and be like, is this their first year together?
Right.
Do they practice?
Mm-hmm. Sidney Moncrief and Ricky
And
Pierce
Terry
yeah,
Cummings on the Bucks. Like
yeah,
those
Sigma and
teams,
all them
yeah,
boys.
those teams were tough outs.
Uh-huh.
But with Boston, I mean, this is year what, 5 and 6?
Yeah, because they 26, so 20, they mid 20s now. So
Yeah.
yeah. Uh yeah,
It's a head scratcher, right? It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
how can they have and this is over different coaches.
And this
This is Brad, what's his name? Brad
Stevens
Stevens,
yeah.
Ime,
Yeah. And
and now
Missoula.
Missoula. Like they can come for the coach, but these dudes been doing the same stuff. At some point, you can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it with JR the Bossman with Boston. Why y'all let Atlanta get 2 games?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And championship teams don't do that.
Mm-mm. Just execution style, move on to the next round.
Right.
It's just
And
off with their head and
right. And hey, yeah, y'all ain't got no hope. What are we talking
uh-huh.
about? That was the thing I always remember about MJ. We sweep in the first round.
Yeah.
Like he gonna go all out. Well, he always go, but we are gonna go all out. We're gonna sweep. We're gonna get that week
Yep.
between, and then we're gonna go from there.
Yep. And anything is possible, as KG once said. But do we expect Boston to do what they did last night 3 more times?
No,
No
no,
way.
no.
I'm surprised they did it last night. I can't wait for I can't wait for them to fall apart. And
a little bit of pride,
Yeah.
Good for them. Boston, is it Celtic Pride? That movie with Damon Wayans and who was all that? All I can remember is Damon Wayans in that. But anyway, I want to say it was Dan Aykroyd in that. Anyway, I'm asking you like movies, but hey, the NBA is at a good place. Like we're to that point now, and this happens right where the stars of the 2010s. It's time to move, right? Like Steph is still here, but he's kind of become that elder statesman.
He's 35 years old, man.
Huh?
Steph is 35 years old.
Yeah.
And that's, we saw him in 08 when he was 19.
Right.
Baby, lighting Kansas up. He is 35 with 3 kids. Little Riley is like about a teenager now.
Yeah. So, I think she's about the same age as Lil Miss.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing you forget. Like Harden got some miles on him too.
Yeah.
KD got miles on him.
Yeah.
Like, so look, Anthony Davis is a double-digit year veteran now at this point.
Yeah.
So you got to take a step back. It's time for Giannis. It's time for Joker. It's time for these dudes who have been chomping at the bit to get their shine. This is what the NBA is all about. At some point, the NBA had to move on from Bird and Magic.
Yeah.
At some point, we had to move on from Michael and Charles and all those teams in the 90s. The Gary Paytons, Elijah, like this is what happens, right? This is what we're seeing in the NFL too. With Brady gone, Manning gone, Breeze gone. Like, we got these young dudes.
Yep, we do. Lamar got paid, got his money, talked about how powerful his influence his mama was.
Lamar getting his money. Hey, the AFC quarterbacks ain't no joke, man.
Yeah.
And look, let me tell you something, though. I can't remember who it was talking about, Sam Darnold is the third QB in San Francisco. And like,
I got Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, we got Sam Darnold, and folks are like, well, if anybody gets something out of him, it's going to be Shanahan.
He'll come in there and win some games for y'all.
He may be the starter. I'm like, all we need is a healthy QB, dude. Literally, the last 12 seasons, a healthy QB, it's at least the championship game. That's all we need is a healthy QB. That's it.
Yeah.
If it's Darnold, if it's Purdy, if it's Lance, we just need somebody to be upright.
He'll be like Jeremy Lin out there for y'all. Have like 6 straight games of perfect QB ratings or something. And
that's what Purdy did. That's all we need. That's all we need. And I know Philadelphia looked tough, but it was only 14-7 when Purdy got out. When he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The offense could have done something. But anyway, not to relitigate that. But the NBA is going to be fine. I'm gonna watch the finals.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it as closely as if my Lakers were in it. But hey, like I tell people, I've seen 8 championships. I'm really good. I'm in a good place. I always want my team to win, but I'm like,
you can't complain,
especially because Denver was a much better team. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they really were. So for Kiki Vandeweghe and Dan Issel and Alex English and Zeke and all those dudes, didn't little bitty Michael Adams
Ryan Stitt, for Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, all of them, man.
Doug Moe,
ABA, the ABA, right?
Because they've been in Spurs. They've been in the NBA since '76. Right before we was born, they merged. Denver came over. So
Denver, San Antonio, Indy, and the Nets. The Nets. Yeah.
And Jeremy last week, he kind of picked Denver kind of the way you picked the Expos. He said he's 32, so he's a lot younger than us. And, trying to pick a team. And, it was, I guess back then it was probably Bulls and Spurs and all that. Lakers, everybody was good. And he said, who's some bad teams? And everybody kept telling him Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, they're terrible. And so the nickname Nuggets, and they were trash. And so he picked them and stuck with them, and now he's 23 years as a fan, and here they are making their first trip to the finals. So,
in Denver is going to end up like your Cowboys. The Cowboys number 88.
Oh,
Who do you think about with Cowboys 88, right?
I think Irvin first. My dad would say Drew Pearson.
Right,
You know,
right. So you
and
got
then you
two
got
very, very good dudes.
and there's some little Des Bryant people,
Right,
and
right,
and and now
right,
now CeeDee Lamb has it. So
right.
you
So, with Melo retiring,
yeah,
and okay,
yeah,
Carmelo Anthony
hmm
is a Hall of Famer, full stop.
easily, yeah,
One, I think he's number 7 on the all-time scoring list in NBA history.
Mm. Buckets.
He's getting in. He's a
Uh-huh.
bucket dude.
Yeah.
It just so happened his skill set got phased out toward the end of his career.
Mhm.
The guy that can go get you a bucket, the ball stopper,
The
right?
ISO dude,
The
yeah.
ISO dude, right? From the late 80s through the 90s, that's kind of how things got done, right? But
Mhm.
his career tailed into ball movement and spacing. That ain't what he was about.
Mhm.
You
That
know,
one
people
dribble pull up is what he was
yeah,
about,
that
boy.
the jab step,
Yeah.
his 60-point no rebound, no assist performance. Hey, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But what he did as an Olympian,
Yeah.
what he did in the NBA, and then taking Syracuse and getting Jim Boeheim a table,
The only reason Jim got a ring.
right? So he's in. What are we doing?
Mhm. Oh.
That's my. Of course he's going in, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Uh, there's no question of that. But again, he hasn't really played in a few seasons, and LeBron's still out here getting 40 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Was it 2019 last time Melo played? Was it 2021?
no, he played
21.
postseason. He post after the Rona times.
Oh, so Portland and OKC and
L.A.
oh yeah, I forget.
Yeah,
See,
you remember what I told you? Like
yes.
when LeBron got to L.A., he had all them kids, and
Yeah.
LeBron wasn't gonna do like Tom Brady and it'd be the old man with all these kids.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's why he brought in Russ. That's why he brought in Melo.
Yeah.
He's like, nah,
Yeah.
I can't be messing with these young kids now.
That's right.
I can't.
That's
I
right.
can't do it. Right.
That's right.
I need.
That's
I need some old heads on the team.
right.
But
uh,
yeah, what else we got going on
hey,
NBA?
you mentioned Pat Riley already, and the fact that we should talk about him more because maybe we don't realize it. Pat Riley is 78 years old.
Yeah.
The guy he came to Kentucky right after the guy that just left, Cotton Nash, who just passed away at age 80, 61 to 64. He was there, like the dude on those squads back then. I'll never forget. There's a guy down here that covers Tennessee for the News Sentinel. His name's Mike Strange. He's from Franklin, Kentucky. Grew up in Kentucky, but his Twitter handle is Mike Strange 44 because Cotton Nash was his guy growing up. So he covers everything UT, but Cotton Nash was the guy. Pat Riley came in right after
Mm-hmm.
Cotton Nash. Pat Riley is 2 years younger than Cotton Nash. Pat is 78. So like you
And when
said,
you
talk.
right, and when you think about Pat Riley, my introduction to him was coaching the Lakers.
Uh-huh.
Well, hell, that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
when I look, I can remember '85, but I'm like, yeah, that was 40 years ago, man.
Yeah. He
So,
was.
but Cotton Nash, what I always say, folks get upset because the Lakers get a lot of pub, your Yankees get a lot of pub, and we always. I'm kind of tired of talking about blue bloods in college
Uh-huh.
basketball because either you are or you aren't.
Yep.
If someone is debating whether you're a blue blood, then you're not. Does that mean you're not a good program? No, that's not what that means. Does that mean you haven't accomplished some things? No. But when I'd say Kansas hoops, you get a feeling, right?
Mhm.
Kentucky, North Carolina. Okay. And maybe Duke. Duke had some teams before K got there. Part of that is, and you and I have talked about it before, a lot of sweat equity and work equity went into teams becoming brands.
Yep.
There's the winning, but there's just that standard of excellence, right? Because Kansas, up until recently, didn't have the championship to back it up, but they were always a blue blood.
Yep.
There was just something about Kansas. And I hate saying it, but it's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to talk about, and again, I understand Kentucky's basketball history as it deals with race. I get that. You and I are both African American. I get it. But I always say to people, there was work that was put in to make Kentucky a brand way before we were born.
Yep.
And Cotton Nash was part of that.
Mm-hmm.
I have been checked by some older Kentucky fans because I've always said that John Wall made Kentucky cool. Kentucky's always been good, but Kentucky was never cool like when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
To me, where it's like, oh, yeah, those guys, because I grew up on the Doctors of Dunk.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm good. But John Wall made Kentucky cool. They're like, no, hey, Cotton Nash. Go read something about Cotton Nash, right? And so, and for what I understand, great athlete all around.
Yeah.
And, was really one of those dudes that made, as college basketball blossomed in the 60s, kept Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
again, not championship winning, but championship caliber, kept them in the conversation, right? That 44, Kentucky 44 means something.
Uh-huh.
So I tip my hat, right? Like, again, I understand if you are a Nuggets fan and it's all about the Lakers. Well, yeah, a lot of work went into that. Stuff didn't just happen. And that's what I try to push back on. It's not like ESPN decided in 2023, we got to talk about what the Lakers are doing.
Right. Uh-huh.
They've just mattered for a long time. Like I told you, even when we're not championship level, there's always something to talk about.
That sure is.
Do you remember how bad the Lakers were Kobe's last season?
Yeah.
Do you remember standing room only for his last game?
Yeah.
How ESPN went side by side with the Warriors chasing history?
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So, but that's built up over years and years and years. And, especially when it comes to SEC basketball, and other teams can talk about, we've cared about football and blah, 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 whatever. Did you field a team? Well, yeah. Did Kentucky beat them? Well, yeah. All right. That's all I need to know. So when you go to cover the SEC tournament and as a Kentucky person, you show up on Friday.
Uh-huh.
Like that meme I sent you, like, ooh, they play, the tournament starts on Wednesday? Does it? Thursday? What?
So arrogant. Yeah, look. Oh.
That's why I kept my fingers crossed this year. I was like, don't let us play on Thursday, please.
Yeah.
Because I just like, ooh, do they really? Every other team has played on those days. In the last 10, 15 years, every other team's played on Wednesday and Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Not Kentucky. That ain't what we do. That means we finish in the top 4 all the time. But
the COVID year, it wasn't the tournament, right? It happened. COVID shut down right before the SEC tournament. That's what saved us.
Yeah.
That was the saving grace, as awful as that was, from us playing.
Yeah, but back to Cotton Nash, it's one of those things. I think you become numb to it because you go to Rupp Arena, you look up, and sometimes, eventually we all just become a name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to, what did this person mean? So I listen to folks older than myself. What did, that's Cotton Nash. What did he, and all I've got over the last day or so is he meant a lot. He made Kentucky cool way back when. So tip my hat. As we move into a lot of sad remembrances here the last few days.
I'm about to go back to just before we get into that, back about the blue blood like you talked about. I said it last week when you were out. I circled back because had to do the same thing with Louisville. We talked a little bit about Denny Crum with Kenny Rice, but not a lot because we're talking more about the Derby. But what makes you a blue blood, even though Louisville's top 10 program, 7, 6, wherever you want to put them, when you think of those blue bloods, the tradition, the winning, the success, the consistency. But to me, I think it's also the connection to the early history of the game. I mean, Denny Crum walked right off of John Wooden's bench and came to Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
John Wooden.
Mm-hmm.
Joe B was with Rupp, who was with Fall Gallen. You trace the roots right back to the infancy of the game. He sat with Wooden, came straight to Freedom Hall, and built Louisville. No disrespect to Hickman and everybody else who had Louisville rolling, but you've seen every Louisville fan on Twitter. When you think Louisville basketball, it's Denny Crum. That was across the board when everybody was giving him his flowers when he passed away. And to me, that factors in when you're a blue blood. Look, how connected are you to the history of the game? This dude is straight from Wooden to the Ville. You can't get no more connected than that.
And what it did, it's getting a top assistant off any coach's staff, right? There's that lineage, right? We always talk about the Bill Walsh tree.
Yeah.
And all the coaches that come off of it, and not so much the Belichick tree those dudes have to do, but
Patricia, baby.
And so it meant something. And what Denny did was, I would say, and I really haven't said this anywhere, that Denny Crum and Joe B. Hall, probably the two most important coaches in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
One, you have to keep in mind that when Denny came in the 70s, college hoops was integrated, but not quite integrated. And Denny was one of those coaches that brought in the black kids and let them play how they wanted to play, i.e. the Doctors of Dunk, still one of the coolest nicknames ever. I know you got your Fab Five and even Five Slam a Jam, but the Doctors of Dunk with Dr. Dunkenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and Louisville basketball was cool when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. Absolutely cool and very, very good. And so Denny helped usher that era in with a lot of high flyers and that kind of thing. And Joe B. Hall winning with Jack Givens in 78, basically, again, hey, yeah, black people have a role here in college basketball. We said that when Joe B. passed. This could have been a situation like, CCNY, whatever team, those teams that Rupp beat, that didn't make that transition. That's why I tell people, hey, Joe B was the dude. Yep. We could have been the team that won all them titles, through 58.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of the story could have been losing in 66.
Right.
Texas Western. Mm-hmm. That could have been the end of the story, and we would have been one of those teams.
It's an afterthought.
But you bring in Leonard Hamilton, right?
Yep.
You win with Jack Givens. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Now you bring in Sam Bowie. Now you bring in Kenny Walker. Okay. So now, and so, but that was Denny's thing too. The thing about Denny is he loved the city and the city loved him.
Yeah, that's what chances he could have went back. And he beat UCLA for one of his titles.
Yeah, in 80. Oh, yeah. And UCLA wanted him. But he embraced the city. And here's the thing about Louisville, my hometown, is when it comes to athletics, Louisville's a very proud city, right? We've got the Derby and everything. But, the thing about some of those stars is they came back home.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali never turned his back on his hometown. Paul Hornung won a Heisman and came back home.
Mm-hmm.
Denny, even though it was kind of a weird situation when Patino came in to replace him, I think it could have been handled a little bit better. Louisville was still home. So, we've lost Paul Hornung. We've lost Muhammad Ali. We've lost Denny. And there's this void because I hate using that Mount Rushmore, but those were three larger than life people that cared about our hometown. Denny Crum was a Louisvillian.
Yeah.
I mean, through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this void, like who's carrying that torch?
I listened to a lot of Jerry Eves, who played for him, won a title for him, got a radio show every morning in Louisville, and he did a lot of tribute episodes. And I listened to most of the podcast. And Kentucky fans calling in, guys worked for UPS and deliver out to his house, and Denny knew he's a Kentucky fan, but it didn't matter. Just the conversations that he had, because Denny's a good guy, or Denny's feeling terrible, but he had committed to do something for this charity, and he showed up anyway and signed and took pictures, and the whole, nobody had a bad word to say about Denny. And like you said, he embraced the city, come from California, and put roots in the Ville, and never left, and had NBA, UCLA, whoever, and he stayed, coached for 30 years, and I read a little article in Athletic, and he said, it was him walking through Freedom Hall, and they still use it, but he was talking about pointing what happened over here and on the bench here, and most of the memories are good. There's a few bad ones, and he's probably talking about when he kind of got pushed out a little bit and how that wasn't handled right. But he was looking back fondly over, his career and everything that he had built. So I just wanted to touch on that with you, because I touched on it last week, but I wanted to bring that up again with you on here.
Yeah, Denny was my coach. I had been several places. I think I shared the picture, me and my dad with the kind of ratty looking cardinal bird. But we had met Denny Crum, and he said, I'm looking for you to come playing for me. And you couldn't tell me nothing.
Man,
I come play for you, coach. Come on, and that's one of those things. So trying to explain to folks, and we're going to talk about other celebrities that have passed.
Yeah.
But it's different when that celebrity, that person has embraced a specific city, particularly their hometown, right?
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this when Ali died, like when Prince died. We all felt something when Prince died. We all felt it. But the fact he was from Minneapolis and never left made that his home base. It just meant a little something different.
Mm-hmm.
And for all the things that Ali did, he came back home. The mayor at the time when Ali passed, Muhammad Ali belonged to the world, but he only had one hometown. And it's the stories that you get from those people in their hometown where, like you're talking about with Jerry Eves, and I've talked to people, Denny Crum, people met him all over the place. You always felt a connection. You don't get that from a lot of people like that. How many big time coaches would you get that vibe from? And this ain't when he retired. This is when he was going to 4 Final Fours in 6 seasons.
Yeah. His first year, he went to the Final Four. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I mean, I learned a lot
Ground
of stuff.
running, man. Like,
yeah.
And part of that, too, is with Denny, you got to remember the University of Louisville was a city school. It was not a state school until, I want to say, my lifetime. Funded by the city. And so we joke about them conference hopping, but that's why Louisville, Cincinnati, Memphis State are kind of vagabonds, because they're city schools.
Mm-hmm.
So city schools fighting against the big state school.
Yeah. I used to like that Conference USA, Houston, Marquette, Louisville, Cincy, all them states. I was like, man, I like that.
So and that's why the Metro worked. That's why it was the Metro Conference, because it was a bunch of UNC Charlotte for a while, like a bunch of these state schools. Florida State was in it. South Carolina was in it, right? So it's these small kind of city schools or metro schools fighting against the bigger schools, right? And so Denny comes on the scene because Kentucky had been Kentucky and Louisville had shown glimpses in men's hoops. But Denny comes on the scene and bam, Final Four. Kentucky wins in 78. Bam, Louisville wins in 80. Hey, we here, baby.
Yeah.
A couple of more Final Fours, then you win 80. Hey, we're here. And I get it. I mean, I get it. We joke about Louisville being little brother, but you have to explain, like, yeah, kinda.
Yeah, for real.
Like Memphis State versus Tennessee. Cincinnati versus Ohio State. Yeah, those teams have chips on their shoulders.
They trying to, get chesty. Yeah.
Right, to say, hey, we belong here too. Right? And so that's part of, the conference alignment and all this kind of stuff, which I tip my hat to Louisville, because Memphis State, I say Memphis State, not derogatory. Mama B got a diploma from Memphis State. So when some people say it being derogatory, I do not, because that's what we said growing up. But like Memphis and Cincinnati, hey, they got left out. I know Cincinnati had that run to the playoff, blah, 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 blah. But you think Cincinnati wouldn't like to be Big 12 or Big 10 or something like that? Louisville getting the ACC, hey, I tip my hat, because in 30 years to go from on the outside looking in, from the outside to getting at the big boys table, and a lot of that had to do with Denny Crum. And I think when Louisville made it to ACC, that was this newfound appreciation that it's basically because of men's basketball, right? Football had improved.
Yeah.
But it was men's basketball that put it on the map. It was men's basketball being good that got Howard Snellenberger to come and coach Louisville football.
Yeah.
You can trace it all back to Denny to show you can win here. It all goes back to Denny.
Unbelievable.
So, but a lot of other sad remembrances. Got to start with Jim Brown, or as we said in my house, the other Jim Brown. The other Jim Brown played football. The other James Brown sang and danced, but my dad was the James Brown. My dad was very, very, very had a very healthy understanding of who he was. So a lot of stuff with Jim Brown, right? Jim Brown, the football player. I mean, you got to have him top 3, I would say. I mean, I think that goes without saying. I know his numbers have been broken and everything about that, but the true great ones, the numbers don't matter.
He was playing 12 games too, so
right, and so as a football player,
him and Jerry Rice or Tom Brady, whoever you put up there, but Jim's in there.
Yeah, well, I like Bomani because he's like it's Jim Brown and Jerry when you talk about football players, but Jim Brown, the football player, Jim Brown, the civil rights dude. But Jim Brown, his treatment of women,
no,
it doesn't make him complicated. It just makes him a dude that did great things and a dude that did horrible things.
Yeah.
And I think that you got to say the good and the bad.
Yeah, because it's all part of who he was.
Yeah, but just an icon. Back in the 60s with the civil rights, he sat down with Ali and Bill Russell and Kareem. And I think as we step back from the civil rights era, and I'm saying, Black folks, especially America in general, we get warm and fuzzies. But for those dudes to do what they did when they did it, that took a lot. To stand with Muhammad Ali when he's like, I'm not fighting in Vietnam, that took something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to minimize that aspect, but yeah, his treatment of women, that
So
that
yeah,
that
that's
terrible, horrible, like whatever word you want to put on it, you can't.
mhm,
No, you don't put your hands on women.
yeah, and just
And
kept happening and should have never happened, and
no, 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 but
never did kind of he never corrected that action.
no, and
Uh,
it's not complicated. He did some stuff that you can't do.
hmm
So
Yeah,
it's one of those things you can say this person did a great thing, this person did a horrible thing, but this is what this person did.
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
and
tip your hat to Jim Brown.
left the told Art Modell, peace out. I'm fixing to go make movies, and went and did that.
That was a boss move.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
find you. All right, I'm
Oh,
out.
I'm rushing title pretty much every year I play. I'm
I'm out.
30. I'm done, and I'm gonna go make the Dirty Dozen and all these other movies.
Yeah.
Go star alongside Raquel Welch, and was that we gonna have this other part of my life, the stuff he did with the gangs, of Amir I Can, all of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So a lot of good things, big chunk of terrible things, like you said. So, but yeah, condolences to Jim Brown.
Yeah.
I think that was your dad's guy, right?
Oh, my
Was
dad was and so I had these kind of conversations with my dad way back when, where it's not even about nuance. It's like he was great at this, but he was terrible at this.
uh,
And you can say both things because they're both true. And so my dad would always say he was a Jim Brown fan because he had a great name.
okay.
And for those that don't know, my dad was James Brown. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, sometimes Jim Brown, right? So he always talked about, James Brown. But one of my dad's biggest things was if you are going to be a man and call yourself a man, part of that is how you treat women. And and so my dad had no time for that.
mhm,
So when we would talk about football and this kind of stuff, for running backs, look, I'm a Barry Sanders dude.
yeah.
All right. Just with what he had to work with and all that. But my dad was like, hey, Jim Brown did it between the tackles when you could punch people in the face.
Barry's own daddy couldn't even would put Jim Brown ahead
And
of Barry.
and that means, there's a highlight I love of Jim Brown running through Dick Butkus, running through some of these dudes,
Hmm
bracing for contact and running through them. And if you watch, I want to say it was Classic Sports at one time had a thing where they just showed a whole game. Because I think when you see highlights, it doesn't capture what someone is doing when you watch a game. And Jim
hmm
Brown would get tackled, and he always got up slow.
Oh yeah. Hmm
Like, oh, and you think you got him.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He puts his finger in the dirt, gets the ball again, right through your chest.
hmm
And you see that over and over again. And the camera angles aren't great, but you can just see the team just like, what do we do? Like the defense, like, what do we do? Which
hmm
goes back to what you and I have talked about, Bomani Jones and others have talked about. There's something about running the ball.
hmm
Do you get more yards on a pass attempt or whatever? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But unless you are Peyton Manning putting up 500 yards and all this kind of stuff, passing game ain't really demoralizing.
Right.
But when you get a good running back that's in a groove and the offensive line is in a groove, and it may just be 3 or 4 yards at a time. That to me is just so mentally demoralizing. Like
hmm
we just gonna get there's nothing you can do. When I think about, kind of football moments, it's a lot of that. If you remember the JoJo Kemp game against South Carolina for
hmm
Kentucky,
Yeah.
was like 7 or 8 runs at the end
Yeah.
of the game.
Uh-huh.
They just kept putting him in his belly, and there wasn't nothing they could do. What do you
hmm
do? You
Yo.
can't scheme that. It is just, we're pushing you. This guy's legs are churning, and you can't stop it.
just gotta take it.
You can convince yourself, oh, there's a breakdown. That's why you gave up that passing play. And,
Uh-huh.
and with the passing play, you get a chunk of yards, like, oh, okay, all
Yeah,
right, whatever. But
yeah.
when it's a running game and it's just we're going to pound on you, that's why I like the 49ers offense. Like, hey,
Mm.
we're gonna run. We coming,
Because
but
with that passing, that's more. I mean, to quote Hank Stram, you matriculate the ball down the field, but that's the path of least resistance. When
yeah,
it's the run,
we are pushing you.
it's always the commentators. The defenders, can they hold up against the run? And when you can't, you just get it ran down your throat
And
over and over and over again.
and
Marshawn Lynch,
yeah,
Emmitt Smith, the second half against the Bills in the second Super Bowl when they was
yeah.
losing at halftime, and they was like, okay, y'all gonna get a steady diet of Emmitt for 7, Emmitt for 9, Emmitt for 6, Emmitt for 8, gash, 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 and ain't nothing you can do about
Was it that Giants game with the shoulder?
it. Yeah.
Hey, all I need to do is do this. Like, it's different, but Jim Brown was different, and you could talk about all of it, right? It all deserves to be talked about. What hit me with a lot of the Jim Brown stuff is because he was great at a lot of different things, except when it came to women. And I'm not saying that as a small thing,
Uh-huh.
but it was very reminiscent of Bobby Knight
Mm-hmm.
that talk this thing about discipline, about this, but unable to do it themselves, unable to
Right.
hold themselves accountable,
Mm.
unable to say, I was wrong. Right. So that's part of it. But I don't want to say Jim Brown was complicated. He was who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And, right or wrong, that was kind of how you had to deal with it. But the one today, the death today,
Yeah.
uh, Tina Turner. And so the thing about Tina Turner is, number one, she's one of one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to say that without Tina, you don't get a lot of the female acts that you've gotten since then. Is Beyonce doing Beyonce stuff if Tina hadn't been Tina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Putting on a show, your Taylor Swift, your Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Tina blew up in the 80s for our generation, and then come to find out all the hell she went through before that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow. I mean, that's one of one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember when Love Got to Do With It came out and her story got told, and it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Angela Bassett should have won an Oscar, but I'm just going to put that out there for What's Love Got to Do With It. I'm just going to put that out there. Lawrence Fishburne too.
Yeah.
But for her in that day and age to tell Ike, all I want is my name. And then to have that resurgent in the 80s
Mm-hmm.
when she was 43.
Right. Right.
And I remember vaguely, that time period, like talking about, you don't become a pop star at 43. That is not, that's not the way this is played, right? Like you don't just you don't shoot up the pop charts as a 43-year-old sex symbol, which she
Supposed to be.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. Supposed to be washed at that time.
Right. 43. We'll see what Beyonce doing at 43. But my point is, like, you're not supposed to be able to do this, and yet she did. And then when she told her story, she said, I'm going to Europe. She bid us a farewell.
Yeah.
And I think she set the table for a lot of some of our older stars to do that. I've given you all enough. What I've done, you've got, you don't get any more.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that with like Gene Hackman. We saw that with Sean Connery, where we're starting to see these celebrities like, hey, I'm not coming out for tributes. I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tina did not come out for Divas Live way back when.
Uh-huh.
I've done what I've done.
Yeah.
And to me, that is absolutely beautiful. She got through talent and will to rewrite her story, because the Ike and Tina story by itself, they made a movie about it.
Yeah.
Just that piece.
Uh-huh.
And so for her to rewrite it, become a pop star by herself,
Mm-hmm.
not letting that define her. I mean,
That's remarkable.
nothing short of remarkable. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you've seen this clip where she did a thing for 60 Minutes a while ago. It's been forever ago, showing off her house overlooking this body of water, and she's got a pool. And Mike Wallace says, "Do you deserve it?" She said, "Oh, baby, I deserve more." And I just, have you seen the documentary on Cinemax for Tina?
I don't think so.
It's very, very good. It's set up. It tells her story from anime, from Tennessee, all the way through, and it was just her way of saying, "I'm out." And that is something that is a lost art. The person to say, "I'm out,"
And knowing when to
knowing when to exit,
take your leave. Uh-huh.
and not showing up, and not, to "I'm out."
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, your favorite artist is taking a little something from Tina, especially on the female side.
Beyonce is gonna be 42 in September, by the way. So I'm
Okay.
just
Yeah,
saying.
but Beyonce, she's been a pop star for a while. But
Well, yeah,
that, but
yeah.
and that was the thing too. Tina, it was soul music, and that was not at the time where soul music and pop, now they like this,
Right.
but she's coming from the soul music,
That was coming from blues.
right? And
You
that
know.
there was no pop thing. Just a little tangent. I read something about, the Blues Brothers movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, and how Dan Aykroyd fought to have all these legitimate R&B and blues stars in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
because keep in mind, in 1980, nobody know who John Lee Hooker was.
Yeah.
Aretha was, not the name she was. That was one of those doldrums, right?
Well,
Ray Charles,
yeah, the 80s was a dip for all the yeah.
especially 70, the 70s into the 80s,
Yeah.
it was a dip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've never been mad about all those R&B stars that cashed in the 80s. Had a conversation with Cameron Mills, talking about, living in America. Is it James Brown's best song?
No.
No. Is he just cashing in on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you
Same
think
with-
about what he didn't get that he should have got
Yeah.
in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ray Charles getting all that money off "You Got the Right One, Baby" with Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Get that money.
Stevie Wonder, I just called to say I love you.
Look, man,
compared to
it's a cringe song.
Yeah.
Stevie wrote that. They're like, we need a song. All right, I got that. And it became a top 10 hit. Songs in the Key of Life and As.
Oh, interventions and
come on, man. Yeah, of course he can do better. I just call, but yes, make that money, right? Don't be a hater.
I'm with you.
Right, and that's
everybody they mailed it in and just
made money, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
that's why, and I can't remember what documentary. A lot of the early rap folks were using those samples. One, it was good music, but two, we helping get this previous generation paid. See, a lot of people don't like rap, but what they don't understand is rap paid the early rap paid homage to those that came before.
Yep.
There's a reason James Brown's still the most sampled man in rap. There's a reason those funk beats with George Clinton. There's a reason that G-Funk became a thing. We looking anyway. I'm on a tangent, but you know what I'm talking about.
Showing respect and do it right, and just do it
right.
Do it justice and do it right. I love it. You know, and when you find a song and you didn't realize what's there, oh, and your mom and dad said, "Yeah, man, he took that from such and such."
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't listen. So, but with Tina, absolutely a tremendous loss. Yeah. She's one of one. I can't think of too many people that went through what she did as publicly as what she did with Ike, and not let that really define her.
Right.
She's like, yeah, that happened. I took care of that. But this is it's a beautiful story. I was glad when she kind of did that, her farewell. Enjoy life. You know, there's that time where it's time to enjoy. And a lot of people, whatever their job is, a lot of people don't want to let it go. Yeah. You know, my dad retired and he's like, the last thing I want to do is be hanging around a police precinct. Like, you know, he's always like, there's always old cops that show up. Like, I don't want to do that. Like I did that. I'm done. And he didn't.
Yeah.
This is how bad it got, Vinny. He cut off everything from official police business. They thought my dad had passed away.
Oh.
Before he did.
Wow.
Because we get the police tags on the cars and we go and they're like, oh, Major, we got you as deceased. He's like, well, clearly I'm not. Well, he had stopped going to stuff because he was, I'm through with that. I've done that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, he went to get a job. He went and got a job. I was at UK deployed. I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I'm getting a job. I was like, what are you going to do? He said, I got a job at Macy's. I said, what are you doing at Macy's? Like, I'm working at housewares. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. He's like, you don't think I can do it? That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. I said, you're not going to make it. You're not doing that. One, he showed up. They wanted him to get into security and all this kind of stuff. He said, no, I'm not doing that. Right. So he goes in the house where
check his resume. They saw the
they're like, oh, you can come revamp. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. The issue was his boss was my age and said, hey, Jim. And I was like, yeah, I'm Mr. No, we don't do that. Well, then he starts working for the Fish and Wildlife and they want him to be on the, you know, they're not game wardens, but, you know, on the law enforcement side of Fish and Wildlife. He's like, no, I just want to take these kids fishing. And that's what he did for 7-8 years. Yeah. But there's something to be said for the people that just walk away. You know, I see all these people, you know, where's this older actor? Let him go, man.
Yeah.
Like Jack Nicholson. I don't think he's acted in anything maybe since The Departed, maybe something after that, but it's been a while. You know, that's why it was a big deal that he was courtside for the Lakers game. Like, oh, look, I'm like, Jack Nicholson, like 95. What are we doing, man? Right. At some point, you can just go, ideally, you work, you do your craft to give yourself a nice life, and then you go enjoy it. Right? Like, anyway. But Tina, that was a big one. You know, Cotton Nash for what he did for Kentucky basketball. And Jim Brown, who, again, not complicated. We know everything about him. A lot of folks just discovering some of that bad stuff on his wiki page.
Yeah.
No, some of us been new. You know, yeah, he threw that woman off the balcony. I mean, he did. We've come a long way because I remember that story coming up, you know, in the 90s, and it was like, well, you know, like what? Like what? Like, well, you know, like I guess sometimes you just got to throw a woman off about like, what are we doing, man? At no point is that okay.
Exactly.
Also, the problem is all these women he was having issues with, I don't think but a handful were over the age of 20. That's a red flag for me.
Yep.
If you a grown man, why are you with some 18-year-olds?
Mm-hmm.
or 20-year-olds at this. Like, that's always a sign.
Yeah.
You want to be in charge. I don't want to get into that and be a psychoanalyst, but that's always a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 17-year-old daughter, and the last thing I want to do is talk to anybody close to that.
Right.
I don't understand nothing. I don't understand their music.
Yeah.
What am I doing out here?
Mm-hmm.
When I got divorced, I don't know if I told you. I at that point I was dating a young lady that was mid-20s. I was right at 40. Vinny, it was a mistake. It was a mistake because I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I never tell you about that.
No,
let me real quick, little story time. Look, man, going through a divorce. I'm going through it. I'm on the dating apps. Yeah, we match up. Oh, you're 26. Yeah, I'm almost 40, which doesn't sound bad, but it's like, so we doing Netflix and chilling. We watch a movie, 10 o'clock. Movie's over, midnight. Like, what you putting on clothes for? Well, we meet so-and-so at the club. Now? Like, I am past the point of I'm going out at midnight. No. But this, my Kate, new wife, she likes this story. So we go out to meet some of her friends one night, and it's at one of these places. I like regular bars with regular music. I don't like going to places that have themes. But this place was candlelight, and it was dark, and it was weird, and whatever. Velvet on the walls, whatever. And I'm sitting there. Vinny, I fell asleep at the club.
Yes.
I got on one of these chairs. I did like this here. And then I jerked up. Now everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, all right, this ain't my thing.
Yes.
So I learned my lesson. Why are you messing with these young women? You remember that thread that somebody had done on Twitter with Del Curry when him and Sonya's like, hey, these streets is different, man. Hey, you've been married for a while, 20 years. The game has changed. The game has changed, man. Going out at, I ain't leaving the house at 11:30. Is the house on fire? No. Well, why am I leaving? What you doing all this for?
Man.
We gonna party all night. No. No. I'm gonna pick and choose my spots. I can't.
Yeah. Ooh, man.
But anyway, that's a little tangent. Yeah, I learned. Yeah, like let me move that age thing up a little bit on this date now.
That's right. Yeah. Compatibility.
Yeah, going to these fancy restaurants with I need some real food. I need food that you put a paper towel on, pick it up, and you can see I need that.
That's right. Yeah.
I ain't just like tried new juicing. No, man. No. You can live longer. But at what cost?
Starvation, number one.
Right. Going out at midnight. What? I didn't do that by much when I was young. But now,
right. Yeah.
Go out midnight on a Friday. I messed up the rest of the weekend. I'm laid up on Monday. Come on now.
Yeah, it's been nice, but I'm gonna
I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson.
Wish her well and move on.
Yeah, hey, this ain't. It's been fun, but Anyway.
Hey. Ooh, this was fun, and we got it all in. We'll wrap it up, man. Be safe hitting the road tomorrow.
Yeah, we got some traveling, got some good weather. We're gonna try a different route. Because I realized, thanks to Mama B, usually we go through Indianapolis to get home. It's the Indy 500 this weekend, so I'm like, we should probably avoid Indianapolis. Because I'm like, that's gonna be, especially because when we go through Indy, like there's a main exit this is Speedway Road, and I'm like, we need to avoid that this weekend. So, but looking forward to it, man. Hey, the finals are gonna be great. The WNBA is off to a great start. Great to see Brittany Griner back out there. Ryan Howard make a name for herself. That's fantastic.
I don't know what's going on with
baseball.
She got a slam cover too on the win.
Shouting out to Terrence Clark.
I
don't know what's going on with baseball. I don't know who's good or who's bad.
The
Braves doing something. I have no idea.
I think I was still shocked the Cardinals were struggling. I know Kate would like that. I never seen
yeah.
the Cardinals
Hey,
be down, but it's bad. I was like, well,
this is I keep saying this. NFC East and National League Central. I've not seen hate among everybody like that. Like I know the Yankees and the Red Sox and the AL East. I get that. But the Orioles and the Rays, do they feud? No. National League Central, everybody hates everybody. And it's one of those, we don't have to win, but you have to lose.
yes,
Like they get more enjoyment out of keeping somebody else from doing it. I forget what year it was. The Cardinals had to win to get into the playoffs. And Kate was talking about, they're playing at the Cubs, and the Cubs have brought a bunch of their AAA team up. And the AAA team beat them, and the Cubs was terrible, but they kept the Cardinals from getting where they wanted to go.
That's right.
I love it. I enjoy it because none of my teams, the division, it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I don't even know who's in the Pacific Division in the NBA. Could not tell you. I know who's in the NFC West. I don't like them, but it ain't like a blood feud.
Right.
I don't think the Cardinals and the Seahawks hate each other. I just think everybody hates San Francisco.
Yeah,
which is fine. I know everybody in the Pacific hates the Lakers. Fine, cool.
But that all the way through the division, where it's just it ain't got to that point, y'all.
Man.
I'm still like, early.
The only little stretch of community I saw in the NFC East is when the Eagles finally won, and then Washington, Dallas, and New York fans like, that was the one thing we could hold over their heads. They ain't got one. Now we got it. That was the only time that they all came together. Like, can you believe that, Washington? I don't know, Dallas. They finally got one.
Exactly.
They ain't got more than one. They just won. It's all lonely.
Just one.
One is all lonely. Like Washington, we ain't been good in a generation, but we got 3.
Exactly.
They just got the one.
That's right. That's right.
And New York, like, well, Eli Manning won 2 for us.
So
Speaking of the Giants, has any team with more than 3 Super Bowls won with quarterbacking that you're like, I don't know, from Phil Simms to Hostetler to Eli? Like, I mean, Eli's going in the Hall of Fame. He's going in there. But man, that's a lot of math for 4 Super Bowls.
That is, yeah.
At least with Dallas, you got Aikman. Did Staubach win one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Staubach.
Staubach won 2. Staubach won 2.
And then my Niners, but man.
That's true. Because even Washington, Joe Theismann, Hall of Famer.
And Rippon.
Theismann, Doug Williams, and
Rippon, yeah.
So,
but still, that's not as bad as
that's better than
that's better than. But anyway, always fun. I'm gonna watch the finals. I may tune in for some baseball.
And next week, the finals won't even be started yet. It'll start a week from tomorrow. So next week we'll still be talking about.
I hate that, man. Like
game 1 ain't happening.
And so the thing that kills me is, then why are we doing back to back to back to back to back?
Right.
Because I think that finally caught up with the Lakers too. Is from the Golden State series on, it's every other day.
Yeah.
But why? Anyway, I'm not a TV executive, so that ain't my thing. But always fun.
The Lakers being out, we can sleep tonight. So there's that. There's we got an off night until the Heat Celtics tomorrow.
Yeah, man. They always pull me. They always pull me in too, man.
Like, yeah. So.
Anyway, always fun. We're gonna do it again next week.
Absolutely.
Everybody have a good long weekend. If you're traveling, be safe.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Glad y'all better. You, Kate, and Sammy, be safe from them streets and interstates and highways and byways. And we holler at everybody next week on
Yes, sir.
Cats Talk Wednesday.